We saw the likes of Hyperliquid see huge jumps in trading volumes on metals, gold and silver perps, Bitcoin and ETH markets, for example, like the two biggest cryptos. They didn't sleep at all during this whole process.
Gold sitting just below an all-time high. There's a lot of demand for gold right now, and I think it signifies that flight to safety we've talked about in the past, and people go to the safest haven they can think of, and the one that's survived the test of time, which is precious metals. Gold and silver. Even on SwiftX, Tether Gold is one of our top 10 traded assets. AI could trigger an economic spiral where human intelligence becomes less scarce. And so what that means is a lot of these white collar workers are, out of a job, then things start to unwind and ultimately leads to a collapse.
Hey guys, welcome to this week's episode of Taking Into Crypto. Have with me, Ted.
Mate, strong start.
Thank you.
I like it. A lot of enthusiasm.
Fifth take.
Big booming voice. Yeah, very well done. Pat, what's been happening?
Mate, what's been happening? Well, not much for us, thank God.
Speak for yourself.
Well, actually, no. It was a good weekend. What did I do? Painted the kids' cubby house. We finished that job.
Nice.
That was good.
Dad task.
Well, it was mainly them I just supervised. What about you?
No, very good. Yeah, just looking for an investment property in the northern suburbs of Brisbane. So that's an exciting time for us. But look, crypto's very interesting right now.
Well, yeah, the whole
world
global stage is a bit interesting. I guess that's kind of what we were alluding to at the start. So obviously we're seeing crypto markets right in the middle of these tensions escalating globally and how that's all sort of impacting the markets. So I think today's episode, it's pretty much a given. We're going to sort of cover how our crypto markets on the surface level reacting to what the market's doing right now and the global scheme of things. But also dive into some things you may have missed because, again, these periods of time have been pretty important in the past. So, I think it'll be a good app.
Okay, I think the important thing to call out here is that in the last 7 days, every asset in the top 10, excluding stablecoins, because they're obviously not volatile, are in the green. So when we look at Bitcoin, up 6.5%, ETH's killing it, up 9.4%. You got BNB, XRP, Solana, the likes of that, Tron.
Yeah, Sol's up double digits, 11%.
Yeah, all doing really strong. So why do you think that is?
Oh, we're going to give it away at the start.
Well, you got some interesting news about ETH coming later, so we won't give that away. But I think it's one of those things where it's like, everything seems to be going to shit, excuse my French, overseas with conflicts in the Middle East and whatnot. But crypto's faring well on the back of it. And the stock market isn't like doing too badly.
No.
So it's everything is acting differently to how we'd usually expect it, right? But I guess this has also happened in other times where we've seen conflict. Like you said, before the show, we've got this happened in Ukraine, Russia.
Yeah, the most recent one was Israel and the Gaza Strip firing off. That was like 2023, just at the very foothills of the run that we saw afterwards, right? So it's not to say these things in isolation are good for markets.
Yeah.
But the way I like to frame it, and I've had it on the notes to talk a bit later, but we can talk about it now. It's like this is usually the point where you get bears and bulls out there that have been on the fence start to really make decisions. And if people are super, super bearish, I always think about for price to go down, obviously negative events in the world, not good for price. That's pretty simple statement. But if all of a sudden the news can't get any worse, I guess that's kind of what we're looking for. Maybe this could be, again, like that point where the markets go, okay, well, we've seen likely the worst of the worst. Maybe it's time for a bit of a relief to the upside. So that could be what we're seeing.
Yeah, and I guess to no one's surprise, commodities, precious metals like gold, reaching all-time highs. Like a couple of weeks ago, we talked about how gold hit new all-time highs and then had this massive drawdown, which is basically we don't really see in those markets. Because they're not as liquid. But they've recovered, and gold's sitting just below an all-time high. I know even on SwiftX, Tether Gold, which is a tokenized gold backed crypto asset, is one of our top 10 traded assets. So there's a lot of demand for gold right now, and I think it signifies that flight to safety we've talked about in the past, where people see conflicts overseas. There's a lot of uncertainty around what the next few years could look like. Is there going to be more conflicts that open up? And people go to the safest haven they can think of, and the one that's survived the test of time, which is precious metals, gold and silver, things like that.
Well, let's double tap on that as well. Just the fact that obviously the conflict that we did see, it saw a ripple effect through all markets out there. it's brought crypto back into the mainstream spotlight again most recently, just for the fact that it's one of the only markets out there globally, with probably the only global market that's open 24/7. So we saw the likes of Hyperliquid see huge jumps in trading volumes on metals, gold and silver perps, as well as oil. So oil markets obviously took a massive swing to the upside just with the transit strait over near Iran being closed. They're basically saying they're going to set ships alight. They've been drone striking refinery plants as well. So I think that's like one of the largest ones in Saudi, accounted for 7% of the world's production of oil has been taken out with drones. So all this is happening on a weekend. And yeah, people need a venue to be able to like either reduce risk, hedge risk, or even bet that the market's going to do something on the traditional market open, which is like if you're in Brizzy, 9 a.m. on a Monday is usually when those markets open. So we saw, crazy amounts of trading on those products. And yeah, no surprise, we saw oil jump. A lot of people that took those bets on Hyperliquid were able to get exposure before the rest of the market got to wake up. So again, it's brought the sort of lens back on crypto as actually, being one of the only places where you could do something like that right now.
Yeah. And I think that's just growing in sort of visibility across, even in this world where we're seeing AI adoption just continue to grow and dominate, that's going to play a major role as well. The fact that permissionless, quick, cheap, 24/7 markets, and we'll touch on that later in a very interesting report. Yeah,
we will. But we did see Bitcoin and ETH really start to sell off at the start of the conflict. But again, because we had that 24-hour market, we almost a way to think of it was it might be just the world's sort of read or proxy on risk as we move into like the weekly opens as well. Because obviously the Bitcoin and ETH markets, for example, like the two biggest cryptos, they didn't sleep at all during this whole process. We saw a sell-off initially, but it all pretty much rebounded and recovered as we head into, again, the start of this week. So, I kind of read that as pretty interesting, that was the market's reaction. So it kind of got me thinking, okay, when the US did open, what if everything did look okay? And so far, like you said, equities look okay. Yeah. Everything seems to be holding so far.
Yeah, they look a bit too okay for my liking.
Yeah.
And I'll be perfectly transparent. Like, I've sold a few of my equities into cash.
Yeah, I remember on Friday you saying.
Yeah, I know. And I asked everyone, I was like, is this a buy signal? Should I buy back in on my own signal? But look, I think at this point in time, I just want to have more cash on the sidelines for, in the case that we do have a major drawdown, not in just crypto, but, other markets. I just feel more comfortable sitting on cash at the moment. I know, Warren Buffett is doing the same, and people often refer to us as, as just fantastic investors. So, he might have copied me. I might have copied him, either way. It's something that I'm getting pretty defensive of right now. Defensive.
You've navigated that well.
Yeah, thank you.
No, it makes sense. I mean, we don't know what's going to happen over the next 24 hours, let alone next week, right? Like, again, like we talk about the market prices and what it knows. We're seeing now retaliation attacks throughout the Middle East region. So I think Trump even came out and said, was it Sunday or Monday, that they don't think the job is done, and they weren't really clear on articulating what the job done means. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, what if this thing stretches out for another 2-3 weeks? Why are you laughing?
Sorry, I had a massive testy pop.
Okay.
As I was agreeing with you.
We don't know how long this is going to stretch out for, what escalation looks like from here. Like, as much as the market's thinking, look, what if the leader of Iran being taken out? It's like a massive milestone reached, so maybe we're closer to the end than the start. Well, I think that's the one thing. I think the market might start to get optimistic, but as soon as we see something negative, like you said, it may have been prudent just to take a bit of risk off the table. We don't know.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's move on to our next segment, which is how we thinking about this whole scenario, looking forward. Like, I know we do this a lot, but things change so quickly, and I think there's some new information that we really want to cover, and mine's not actually as negative as, say, everything else out there. It's more of a long-term view, but I'm keen to get your view first.
Me first, okay. I think I kind of covered it already, a bit of a spoiler, but I just think markets at the end of the day, they're just forward-looking, so they digest what's happening, price that in. So you would have expected, if the escalation was going to happen over the coming weeks, which we saw it happen this weekend, there would be that sell-off. It's then reacting day by day. If the situation's escalating or cooling off, what's the market doing next? As we saw, the leader got taken out, prices recovered, we've rebounded. I think as long as there's no major bad news events that aren't expected, we could potentially see this rally have legs, and we get that relief rally that we were speaking about last week, how we've seen now 5 consecutive months of downside, kind of due for some sort of relief, even if I still believe we're going down lower, like over the next 6 to 8 months, like don't get me wrong, but that doesn't stop us having double-digit, triple-digit gains across some altcoins. Like it is like a pressure reliever when everything's just so oversold. And even looking at derivative data, I did a write-up last week about it, the hedging activity. It's so expensive because everyone's planning on downside. So when the market's all expecting down, it's kind of almost likely you get up for a little bit. People aren't expecting it. So, I mean, if we look at Bitcoin alone, it's up 10% since the lows of last month, February. So I still think I'm cautious. Like, I'm not taking any long-term exposure to the upside, but I'm looking for opportunistic rotations for upside. That's how I'm playing things. And it is, I guess, optimistic in that way, I guess I could say. But yeah, I still think there's just so much happening on the political and geopolitical front that's what's driving the markets right now. So as much as you're looking at a chart and you're thinking, oh, this looks like a good technical level, it could easily fall apart just due to what's happening abroad. So what do you think?
Yeah, exactly. Look, I want to exclude all that noise. So all the macro, all the political stuff right now, because I know it's super important. But long term, I think there's some really valuable growth catalysts for crypto. And my opinion is, if you just look at crypto alone, like this bear market is going a little bit too well. Like we haven't seen...
It's gone just one way.
I mean, we haven't seen any like black swan events. Like we saw 2 major ones last time, or probably already by this time in this cycle, which makes me, a little bit nervous, but also optimistic. So we've seen continued sort of institutional adoption and growth. Like just to name drop a few things here. We talked about last week, BlackRock partnered with Uniswap. That's huge. Apollo tokenized its diversified credit fund on several blockchains, and also plans to buy 9% of Morpho. So we've talked about Morpho being a top mover
last week.
Yeah, probably on the back of Apollo's plans to buy 9% of the supply. What else we got? JP Morgan, Bank of America, and Citigroup and Wells Fargo and discussions to launch a joint stablecoin. Stablecoins are the flavor right now of crypto. We'll touch on that later and how they could play out in an AI financial ecosystem. JP Morgan launched a deposit token on the Base network, so that's Coinbase's L2 network. And Fidelity, interestingly,
I thought this one was crazy.
Interestingly, is hiring a DeFi vaults manager. So what do you make of that?
I just wouldn't expect they're going to dabble too much in the DeFi space. Just again, doesn't seem like the most secure place to be chucking hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars. Like obviously it's not the most unsecure place, but I thought it'd be a hard sell for them to try and get people to throw money into that sort of arena. But I can't wait to sort of see what they do there, because it may still be like ring fenced in their own environment maybe, but obviously be really keen to learn more about what they're doing there.
Yeah, because Fidelity, for anyone that doesn't know, is an investment firm, like a large one in the US. They do offer crypto ETFs, but the fact that they're diving into DeFi is a whole nother realm.
Yeah, they're going next level.
Yeah,
peeling the onion back.
But look, overall, like that said, I'm not actually loading up my bags on crypto right now. Like I do still think, as you said before, we've got more pain to go. So I think we might continue to have a relief rally. Who knows? But I think we may have another capitulation event before we do bottom out, and then I'll be loading up, because these like growth catalysts, particularly around like the RWA category and overall just like adoption of crypto and stablecoins as a whole, is super positive for that long-term growth. And I think it bodes well for a really strong cycle. Like we talked about last time, the cycle probably disappointed a lot of people, the bull market in particular. I think this next one, all things considered, everything's lining up, and as I said, excluding all the outside noise happening in the world, I think we're looking really good. Yeah,
no, I agree. I think it looks great. And I know on the stablecoin front, you've got a nice little piece that you're going to cover now on a recent research article that came out from Citrini Research. It's been causing waves.
Yes. So for anyone in the know, like you might have come across this, it's Citrini's AI Crisis blog that they did on Substack. So they're a research firm, and they titled it The 2028 Global Intelligence Crisis. So sounds pretty scary, and it probably is. But I should preface, like, this is a scenario, and then they're not saying this is like guaranteed to happen, but this is a potential scenario that they see playing out.
It's a bit of creative writing, right? Like they took a bit of a license to it, like looked at what they see as like ways that AI could impact the economy today and just extrapolated it. But it has been, I'm sure there's lots of people out there that have read it, or maybe you haven't read it. If you haven't, do recommend doing so. It's a bit of a read, but it is at the end of the day like kind of like a telltale warning of what could potentially happen. But I think the reaction's been like, well, what would you say the reaction's been?
Well, we're already seeing signs of it. So we'll drop it in the show notes so people can read it if they want. But we'll summarize a bit of it now. So it basically details how an economic crisis could happen on the back of AI not failing, but succeeding too well. And that basically, what it's saying is AI could trigger an economic spiral where human intelligence becomes less scarce, which has huge implications on, employments, financial stability, and those sorts of things. So it sort of breaks down a cycle that happens. So I'll break down the steps in this cycle. So 1, AI gets better and cheaper. We've already seen that happen. 2, companies replace white-collar workers with AI. We've just seen an example of that last week where Block, which is owned by Jack Dorsey, Twitter founder, he laid off, half of his staff?
20 or 40%? 40%. And then the stock went up 20%. Yeah.
Exactly. And then the next step is corporate margins improve and stocks rally. We saw that basically instantly, like Block's share price spiked. Next step, displaced workers earn less and spending declines. Next, consumer demand weakens. Next, firms cut more labor and invest more in AI. And then AI continues to improve further. And so what that means is a lot of these white collar workers, these sort of middle class, like decent income earners are, out of a job. They're no longer able to use their skills and intelligence on what they, and earn lots of money on it. And these people often have, large expenditures, whether it be mortgages, car loans, things like that. And then, we saw it in the global financial crisis. Then things start to unwind and ultimately leads to a collapse. Now, as I said, it's a scenario, and it's looking pretty bleak, but it does have some interesting insight there around crypto and stablecoins.
I thought it was funny that they got a shout out.
Yeah, really interesting because it talks about how AI agents new economies will be driven by agents, which is basically AI transacting autonomously. And so it talks about how card transactions have the fees are too high, the margins are too high on card transactions. So what do these agents do? They go to cheaper, quicker alternatives, right? And what they're moving to is fast crypto networks like Solana, Ethereum L2s, and they're transacting stablecoins on there. So it kind of, leads to this adoption arc where we're seeing, maybe the big adoption arc doesn't happen from humans itself and it happens from AI. Because we've always talked about, UI, UX and usability of, these blockchain infrastructure, wallet infrastructure, bridging between networks. It's all a bit overwhelming for the everyday person, but maybe that doesn't matter. Maybe the next wave of adoption comes from these AI agents.
Yeah, so like the flow there being you've got a chat going on your phone with your AI agent, say, get my wife flowers. It just goes away, finds a florist. I'm probably going to have to buy flowers now. And does all the transactions without you knowing and says, cool, flowers on the way. And it's done the transaction and everything in the background. It's settled. And again, I think there was like a nice little Twitter thread I saw of someone just asking the different AI agents if you had to pick a way to transact, what would you pick? And they're all kind of saying stablecoins as well.
Yeah.
So it's pretty interesting.
Yeah, because people might think, well, stablecoins, I can't really make money on that. But the interesting part is...
You can use it, but
yeah. And, as I said, they're likely going to use networks that are able to scale very quickly, like Ethereum, like Solana. That bodes well for those tokens, right?
No, it's all pretty interesting. A lot of this, I guess, has been spurred on the release of Claude Code, Claude Opus. If anyone has or hasn't played with that, it's pretty crazy what it can do now. Because I think all everyone remembers is AI from 2023, where it would just hallucinate and get everything wrong. And I know that's kind of was my idea until I used it recently.
Yeah, Pab's been going crazy in the office with his AI tooling.
Yep.
It's a bit scary.
It is.
You're going to be replaced soon.
I'm basically creating something that'll replace me. How good? How good? But look, we'll obviously keep an eye on that. But let's talk top movers.
Top movers. What do we got?
We got top movers. We got some interesting ones that haven't made an appearance, in a long time. Polkadot, yeah. So I was scratching my head about this one. I thought it was just a flash in the pan. But they've actually announced that in 10 days' time, from today being Tuesday, that there'll be new economic upgrades to this ecosystem. So the tokenomics, they're going to look to actually cap the supply. So DOT, like many other staking tokens, have an uncapped amount of tokens that can exist. So the idea here being is if you create some sort of scarcity, which again seems to be what the market's liking, what it's hearing so far, And they've also cut their emissions by 53%, so less tokens being issued from staking activity as well. So that might be enough to positive movements fundamentally to get people looking at Polkadot again as an ecosystem, because I know that was like everyone was talking about Polkadot back like last cycle being like the next Ethereum challenger, and ended up being Solana that really overtook it anyway. But maybe it's coming back. We'll see.
It looks like they've rebranded as well. They
love a rebrand.
Yeah, they've done a few, but they've replaced the pink with the black, so they're going more of like a sophisticated look.
Yeah, but black and white. We'll see with see if they go down the AI route too. We'll see. I'm sure they'll throw that in the mix too, but we'll see. Speaking of AI, Near Protocol, that's up 20% as well. So just infrastructure. Couldn't find any specific news. But I did see Jupiter, which is third on the list, up 19% in the last 3 days. Go down the route of improving their Telegram automated trading bot sort of sophistication there. So reducing essentially cost for people that are going to go down the route of autonomous agents, which is what we've been talking about. They've introduced a new product called Comet Trading. So Comet Trading is basically enabling AI agents and bots through a tool like Telegram to basically trade at much, much lower fees. So they're just trying to see more of that volume and become the venue, it seems like, for AI trading. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, and also in there we've got two assets that we talked about earlier in the show that's gaining institutional adoption, Morpho and Uniswap.
Yeah, they're doing quite well too. Yeah, so Ethereum as an ecosystem getting a good shout out.
Is Morpho ETH?
It's kind of cross-chain, but started on ETH. It's mainly on the L2s, but it's doing quite well.
Nice. And speaking of Ethereum,
yeah, this was an interesting one. I was kind of like 50-50 if I say it or leave it, but we'll share some news with everyone. But Ethereum is again another asset that is stakeable. So basically, people are able to throw their money into validated queues, and the way that these queues work is the more people that are waiting to get in, the longer it can take for that ETH to lock up, and the same thing on the way out. So we saw, for example, when the market crashed at the back end of last year and start of this year, the amount of time it would take for Ethereum to exit the staking pools, so for people to remove it from validated networks and actually receive it to then likely be able to sell it, got as high as 40 days. So people were waiting a very long time to get their ETH before they could even sell it. Now, the same goes for moving it into validator nodes. It's actually hit a new all-time high. 70 days people are currently waiting to get their ETH into these staking pools. So you can draw a lot of conclusions off of this. I mean, from my perspective, the last time we saw activity spike like this was in June 2023. So for me, it's almost like the next round of, long-term holders for ETH, happy to put their ETH away into the validator networks, because they essentially get delta reward for helping keep the network alive, right? So for them, they're not looking to sell anytime soon. They'd rather earn that anywhere from 3 to 5% yield in Ethereum tokens and look to make the most of their holdings. So I think while we all between us at least, we're agreeing that maybe price could go a little bit lower, it does seem that there is a pretty heavy segment of the market, could likely be institutional, that's happy just to sit on their Ethereum long term from where it's sitting currently and see it for the next 2-3 years appreciate is probably their plan. So I think it's a really interesting sign.
This spike almost looks like there's something else at play though. And
go on.
I don't really know. It seems like the wrong timing for it.
You could say June 2023 was the wrong timing because it did. No, actually, it kept going higher.
Yeah, that was post Bitcoin all-time high.
Yeah, it did track up a bit higher. It's interesting because it goes down that route of what you're saying.
That was 24, my bad.
Being less cynical and more about, well, what if this time is a little bit different? I don't know. Maybe there's just some people that happy to take exposure at these prices and hold it for the long term. That's definitely what's happening, I would say. We're also seeing ETFs start to slow down in terms of how much ETH they're creating selling pressure on the market too. So, we'll see. I think, again, it's going to take almost 3 months for these assets to get locked up. So they won't be earning yield for quite some time yet. So it'll be interesting to watch. But that's a pretty interesting fundamental piece for me.
Like it. And on that note, shall we leave it there?
It's a wrap.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, guys.
We'll give a shout out to our producer Lee this week because we didn't have our usual Daniel because he
saved the day.
Yeah, he had a bit too much fun at the Bad Bunny concert over the weekend, and so we got Lethal Lee in. So thank you, Lee.
He's shaking his head. He loves it. But like we said, we'll throw everything we talked about in the show notes today. Make sure you go check out those articles, and we'll see you next time.
Yeah, thanks, guys.